All right, how's everyone doing? I'm Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning in to the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? So what I want to get into today is, I don't even know if makes sense to a certain degree, but it's called creating your own placebos. So you hear all these things about a placebo. For instance, like a sugar pill, or if somebody's sick. And, they do these studies, these hospitals, doctors, where they tell somebody you're taking this type of pill and it's going to cure you, and then they mentally believe they're cured. And I'm huge into that. I'm not necessarily saying taking the sugar pill. I'm huge into figuring out in your mind what cures you of whatever is going on in your life, which could be an injury, which could be sickness or anything. I really believe it's all in the mind. And I did a podcast earlier on that, on how come I never get sick and how do I heal myself. And when I was younger, I talk about I always felt very sick and very weak. Don't know why. I ended up having to have my tonsils removed in an emergency situation. I was sick all the time. My throat kept closing up. Eventually it turned black. I had bad earaches all the time. I had teeth problems. I ended up having to have a hernia. I just always felt beat up. I felt strong, but I felt beat up. Even throughout high school, my knees, all my joints were killing me. And I think after time, one of the reasons was I wasn't necessarily getting the amount of rest I should. I don't think I was eating enough food. I was very high strung. I was always playing sports. I couldn't stop. And I think I just exhausted myself because after high school, I went to go move to Florida with my dad. I started sleeping a lot more. I started eating everything, and I literally gained like 100 pounds in like a year and a half. And I became extremely strong. But when I was younger, I remember just laying there and not feeling good. And always with my mind saying, what's going to help me? How can I heal myself? Because I was always trying to mentally heal myself because I felt in pain. I think like when I was 14, I had to have another root canal in my mouth. And the doctor said he's never seen a kid my age have more root canals back then. And I mean, this is before I even had my adult teeth coming in. I started to have major, major issues. They even had to put things to protect my teeth and all these different types of things. So I was either my mouth hurt, like I said. So I really started to mentally throw myself into thinking I was healing myself. Or I was just dealing with the pain. Like pain would come and I became very accustomed to being in pain. And I think when I played sports, I loved physical, very physical. I love even boxing, wrestling, playing football. I love pain along with that. Not sure why, but I did. And then when I started to work out with weights, I lifted so intensely hard that I wanted to be, and I still get very sore to this day. I need that soreness. It's like I almost need to suffer. And then I mentally think how I'm going to get the soreness away and heal myself. But as far as the concept of this placebo or this podcast concept is what I've done, I think, over the years. Now, my mother sometimes says I have too many hang-ups, but maybe you could think about this as well. I think we have all these different type of things that can either make us feel really good or make us feel real bad, because for the most part, as we age, we're deteriorating. And I know that's a harsh word, but the truth is, the older we get, the more we deteriorate. It's not like we're living Benjamin Button. We're not getting healthier and healthier as we're getting older. As much as we want to believe that, and as much as people want to work out, eat right, all these different things, wonderful. Let me grab some water here. Yes. So you got to kind of figure out, what am I doing? How am I preparing for this as I get older? Do you want to hurt yourself, or do you want to help yourself, really? Do you want to make the aging process less painful? Possibly. Not sure. But I would think you don't want it to be more painful. Now, things are always going to come into people's lives. I says nobody dodges every bullet. I don't care. If you're getting older, I said death is hunting you. And the older you get, the more things that are most likely going to happen to you. And you have no control over them. At least right now, we don't. You're going to lose your teeth. A lot of us lose our hair. Bone deterioration. A lot of us are going to come down with different types of illnesses. And it's pretty amazing because I talk about my immigrant grandmother. She was the worst eater I've ever known, never worked out. She lived to almost 94 years old. And then, as you know, you have people that are extremely healthy that pass away in all different ages, starting from children on up. And I really learned that with my daughter. My first daughter had a liver transplant, so I spent a majority of her first few years of her life in a hospital for children, and it was the most unbelievable experience in my life when you really get down to it. What, with sickness and what people go through, it just happens, and you really have a few different things that are going to happen in your life. Most likely, a lot of people just hope they fall asleep, in their bed. They just die and fall asleep, or you're going to die of something very, sudden. It could be a car accident or whatever the case may be. And then you have the other one where there's kind of an illness, a lot of times, right? That takes over your body, and then you kind of deteriorate. And you really have two options as you get older. You're going to either you want to live or you want to die. And it's, to a certain degree, I think a lot of people, when they're getting older, they hit a certain point, they don't necessarily care anymore. They just want to do what they're doing that makes them feel good, which I get 100%. And if you liked smoking, for instance, my grandmother smoked for 60 years and then had a quit cold turkey, which is amazing. And she's still around, my Nonna Mitz. So, she smoked for all those years, and then you hear of other people dying of cancer that never smoked, for instance, or they smoked for a certain amount of years. And not necessarily if you smoke, you're going to get cancer, but you get the point. You don't know what you're in store for. But I've been doing things as I'm getting older that really have seemed to help me. And now I'm going on 50, and I'm happy I did a lot of the things I did. There's some things I wish I didn't do, but being involved with the nightclub bar business with my father, I was never really a drinker. I really looked at drinking as a business, and then I seen tons of people doing drugs and people involved with drugs. I also looked at that as a business. The one thing I did like was gambling, which started to aggravate me after a time because I hate losing. I hate losing so much, I even started a clothing line called Sore Loser. But that's how much I hated to lose, so it emotionally started to take a toll on me. But my mother and father, they don't have addiction issues, neither do I. But I do think I have addiction issues or doing things all the time that I thought were helping me, but some hurt me. And one thing was, I'll tell you the first thing, that I was always working out and playing sports from like 5 years old on, started lifting really heavy weights at probably 12 years old, never stopped working. I still work out a lot, and I think by going heavy so many years has taken a toll on me physically, my joints, tendons. I talk about it all the time. I could tell now that I'm going on 50 and I hit a lot of size that my skin is starting to drop. I don't know if you ever saw Schwarzenegger. I'm not saying I'm big as Schwarzenegger, but I was like 250 pounds, and when you're big, you start losing weight, your skin's stretched. I've always been using creams, and you could just tell I'm aging, right? I'm deteriorating to a certain degree, even though I don't want to believe that. But the truth is, you can only take care of yourself the best you can within your means. But I've been doing all these things, and maybe you might want to start discovering things that you can do, and I call it kind of the placebo effect. So, for instance, I have to, not always, but if I have oatmeal and orange juice in the morning, for some reason in my mind, and I've had all different types of breakfast throughout my life, so I'm always in different hotels, and I've been able to eat whatever I want for basically a majority of my life. So, but when I ate oatmeal and I had orange juice, it made me feel great. And for the last, I talked about it in the other podcast, I've been sick maybe once or twice in the last 30 years. I don't know what happened again after high school. And once I got those tonsils removed, that helped out a lot too. But I started doing oatmeal and orange juice. My teeth hurt a lot even as a young boy, so I was eating oatmeal, and my stepfather used to go, "You're eating wallpaper paste," but that made me feel good. When I ate eggs sometimes, and I still do, I'll eat them poached, but if I would do an omelet, I like pancakes too, but it felt like real heavy in my stomach. To make a long story short, that is one of the placebo. Like if I had that, I feel good. If I don't, I'm not saying I'm horrible that I can't handle that. That I'll be like today, I am in New Brunswick, Canada, and I went to a place, a coffee house, and they were only doing egg sandwiches, which I never do, but I got fresh Canadian, did they have Canadian ham? Bacon? I didn't do Canadian bacon, but some Canadian ham they said they had with this egg. It was very good with, and they didn't have orange juice, so I got a smoothie instead. But my point being is, I try to almost eat that oatmeal orange juice, and that has always helped me. It also helps taking dumps, you know what I mean? Okay. Anyways, we can move on from there. Also, like in the morning too, when I brush my teeth, lately I've had a tongue cleaner for a while now. And when I would brush my teeth, and then now to clean my tongue, and then I would use this other thing. Now you could poke in and out like a brush. Your mouth feels spotless. And I think for me, not getting sick, I'm always trying to make sure my mouth, because they've done those studies, that there's not bacteria or what's the word I'm looking at, gingivitis or any of those things in your teeth. It's very close to your brain, plus you're breathing that in. So I tell people, really try to get your teeth in the best condition as possible, because your teeth, like I said, they're just so important. It's internal in your mouth, and you want them to last as long as you can. I mean, to a certain degree, right? I mean, most people are going to end up with dentures or, a lot of teeth problems as they get older, and that's just the truth. Something that's I find very interesting now that I quit doing. So I was obsessed with coffee, Italian coffee, when I was a little boy. I was drinking it at like 3 years old. A lot of our family members were from Italy. They were doing espressos, Italian coffee all the time, and I used to take them. But the thing is, I'd run around so much, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. But I still drank coffee up until my high school years. And then I just couldn't do it anymore. I just literally quit cold turkey till I was in my mid-40s. Now I'm back on coffee because when I went back to Italy, too, it really knocked it out of the park. I love Lavazza, and I think the coffees are so much better than like when I was growing up. But I love coffee, so I'm kind of doing one coffee a day. I throw in some latte stuff in there, but I feel great. I don't do it in the morning. When I do a morning coffee, it burns my stomach. Again, it's a placebo thing, but when I do one coffee throughout the day, because I heard coffee now more than ever is actually a lot healthier than you think it is. I've been doing it the last 5 years, and I felt great regardless what the study is. Again, that's something that I do, and something you may consider doing, not necessarily coffee, but figuring things out throughout your day that keep making you feel better. That's kind of what this is about. Also, two, not being sick, making sure my fingers and nails and toenails and all, they're very clean. Again, when those are clean, I feel better. If my hands get dirty, I don't know I hate dirt in general. I can't be around dirt. I think it's a mental thing. I don't know why. I'm not an outside type of guy. But if you kind of find yourself, I think sometimes we program ourselves to believe certain things. And we do things throughout the day that really aren't, that we kind of became, that worked at one time, that don't work now. And it can even be saying, you started off having, I'm kind of a closet smoker, hypothetically. You just want to smoke with your friends once in a while. Before you know it, you got a pack-a-day habit and you feel like shit. Those are, I try to teach somebody, if you're going to weed out of something like that, you want to replace it with something good. I know someone who just quit smoking after so many years, and I had an issue smoking cigars. When I was making my films, all of a sudden I realized I'm smoking 2-3 cigars a day, and I couldn't stop. I loved it. I'd be meeting with my buddies. And then I started to feel real shitty. And I said, I know I'm feeling shitty because I'm working out, plus I'm smoking all these cigars. I wanted to quit, but I needed to replace something with it. And I replaced something with it that was healthy, back to the placebo thing. So I weeded out of that, and then I started drinking more smoothies, healthier, or fruit drinks. So the thing was, I quit smoking, and I kind of missed that identity with my friends smoking cigars and all that. If I was with them, I would just be miserable when I first quit, but then I kind of got over it. But what I would do is, like I said, I would start drinking smoothies or these veggie drinks, and I started to feel really good. So it was kind of like I quit one thing, and mentally I'm like, man, I'm pissed I had to quit that. And then the other thing, I'm like, wow, I feel so much better in my workouts. And when I do things, I don't have chest pains anymore. I'm not coughing up, all this type of shit. And back to the placebo effect, I think people need to learn how to do these type of things where every day you start kind of shifting things to make you feel better and healthier. Because again, we've done things that kind of became where it went down a spiral where we're doing them, but it doesn't necessarily do us any good. And what was interesting is I never really liked beer. Back to Italy, and my grandparents, and I was around a lot of Italian immigrants, or just Italians in general, they used to always drink Moretti, or whatever you want to say, the two styles where they got the rosé and then they got the blonde, I think. And I couldn't stand beer growing up. My father still refuses to drink beer. All my father likes is soda. That's all he drinks is pop. He's anti-water. He's anti-everything. All he wants is soda, or pop, whatever you want to call it. Any style of it. He even put a pop machine in his house. So I started to have some joint issues not long ago, a couple years ago. I don't know what was going on. If I'm lifting against so many weights, my joints were starting to hurt me. And we went to Italy. I was in Italy, and I had some beer there, testing. I thought it was delicious, the beer. I liked it there. I didn't like it in the States, even though you could get, in the bottles, Peroni, Moretti. So I was at an Italian restaurant for a gathering, and the girl I date, her brother-in-law is Italian from Jersey, and I was telling him, because he's like 360 pounds, he lifts very heavy weights, he's a monster, and I was telling him my joints, we were going to go hit the gym after that. Go figure, right? Actually, this was a high school graduation and luncheon, and then we're talking about hitting the gym real quick before we meet for dinner later that night. So I told him, man, I don't know what's going on. My joints are killing me, my elbows, my wrist. And he's like, "Have you tried one beer a day?" And I'm like, "Listen to this." I'm like, "No." He goes, "I try the." And we were at an Italian restaurant. He goes, "Just try the one beer a day for a while." He goes, "I promise, just try it." I'm like, all right. So I had one there. We went and worked out. Then he said, "Hey, I was with them that weekend. Get the other beer tomorrow, whatever." So I kept up with the one beer a day a little bit. And I swear to God, I don't know, back to the placebo, it started to make me feel great. It went away. Now, again, I don't know if that's mentally. Whatever it is, it worked. But then I realized in time with traveling, doing the one beer, Italian, and I made sure it was an Italian beer because I seemed to like that. And back to the placebo, if I drank another beer, I didn't like a Stella or something. I didn't feel it because, again, it's mental for me, and I think for a lot of people. But I started to feel bloated because I do one beer and then sometimes two. So now all of a sudden I'm drinking beers and my belly's getting bigger a little bit, and I didn't like that either. So I kind of leaned off it where I'll still do that beer, but every other day or every 3 days. And I swear to you, I don't know what happened again, but my joints started to feel amazing. I don't have any problems now. My shoulder still clicks. Well, that's been going on forever, so here's something else I've been doing for many years. So this actually just happened to me. It was almost 80 degrees in Florida, and I had to fly to first Texas. Oh, where did I go? I don't even know. I had to fly all of these places. And then I ended up in New Brunswick. So I am in Canada now. A lot of times when I travel, it'll change 100 degrees. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. And people always wonder, how do you not get sick? Because this time I literally went from, what was I trying to remember, Florida to Houston. There was a big drop off there. Then I had to go to Denver. Oh, Denver to Minnesota, another change. Then even Minnesota to New Brunswick. Now, tomorrow I fly out of New Brunswick. I don't know what it is, 10 below here, or whatever it is. I'll fly to Florida, Orlando, to maybe 70 or 80. Huge different changes in weather. But what I've done, again, a placebo concept, is I always make sure my neck is protected. I wear turtlenecks. I don't depend on scarves. I realized over the years, when I would wear like open shirts and sometimes I don't button the top, my throat would start to get a little sore. And I would almost start to feel like I was going to get sick. And then I would just start washing it down with orange juice, vitamin C. And people are like, there's too much sugar sometimes in orange juice. I don't give a shit. OJ, and it disappeared on me. For me. But when I started to wear turtlenecks everywhere I went in the cold weather, especially going from warm to cold, I never let that cold weather hit my neck. And I also would cover my whole body. So I'm always wearing like a 2 or 3 piece suit on top of a big coat. Sometimes I'm bald, I put the hat on. I always stay warm. The other day it was so cold in Denver, the weather just dropped unbelievably, that I slept in my turtleneck. And a doctor I know told me, I mentioned these things to him, and he's like, that's because a lot of time, I guess, your throat, you need to keep it warm and keep it, I guess, I don't want to say moist. I forgot the way he worded it, but it's a good idea, and that's why people wear scarves, But that is, again, a placebo thing where that really works for me. I also try to incorporate, you may want to try this too, is I did a smoothie today, but you got to be careful what smoothies you're doing, because a lot of them are high sugar, as you know. And I don't get obsessed with saying, oh my God, it has all this sugar and this or that, because I work out hard enough where I can kind of offset that. And here's something too. If you kick it in the ass, if you work out 3-4 times a week, in my opinion, because I mainly only eat Italian foods, and I eat a lot of pastas, I eat everything. I just had a monster, what was it, a latte? But I work out hard enough where I can burn all that off. Even if I'm sitting in a lot of planes or driving in a lot of rental cars, I'm still burning off what's coming in. Think about that. But what the hell were we talking about? Oh, the smoothies. Also, make sure you're getting a lot of vitamins in. I know a lot of people think that they're taking vitamins. Did I say vitamins? I meant to say. A lot of people get vegetables. Take in a lot of vegetables or fruits if you can. A lot of people, I think, start taking vitamins to replace that. And you could take vitamins all day. I don't care. I take 2 Flintstone vitamins. That's all I've ever taken in my life. I know I'm like a child. But the vegetables and things don't depend on any... I don't trust pills. That's just me. I want something authentic, so if I go, I try every day to get a veggie drink. I'm trying to eat a salad. Again, that's a placebo thing. I don't get a soup because it fills me up. Sometimes I'll get soup, but any meal, I try to get some beets. I try to get some veggies in there as well, if I can. And again, that's what makes me feel better. And when I do that, I'm always doing these things that it's like a something that keeps clicking. Like, oh, Rich, you just had your veggies. Now you're going to be awesome. That's great. That's good for your like that mentality. And one of the things I really realize I love doing is swimming. And I think I'm going to do a video actually on swimming because I don't know what it is. If I swim 2-3 times a week, I feel amazing. Whenever I do swim, I really sleep unbelievably. I mainly, though, only swim underwater. I once watched this documentary. I love documentaries on Bobby Fischer, and he does, well, when he would go play chess amongst a lot of other people or even one-on-one, he always wanted to stay in the best shape possible and control his breathing. Swimming on top of the water and all that's good too. I like running in water, but just getting the buoyancy and getting the breathing down. But I mainly swim underwater. I'll do like 40 laps at least 3 times a week, or if when I travel, sometimes they don't have pools, but I love to swim. And for some reason, after I'm done swimming, it's almost like an endorphin kick in where I know I'm good for the week physically. I don't know how to explain it. I feel thinner. I feel faster. Like I said, I do lunges in there. I run frontwards, backwards. I have fun in the water. I'm not there to hurt myself or try to like do something redundant where I think a lot of people swim or even when they work out. I'm always trying to switch things up. I also love going in the sauna. I've been doing either sauna or steam like 15 minutes. And I don't know what it is after I swim, or even regardless if I swim or not, if I go in a sauna, I actually just left the sauna, I always felt amazing. I don't know what it is. It helped with my breathing. Same with the steam. They're doing all these studies on sauna, so I've been doing 15 minutes there as well. And here's the thing. Also, if you want to start, I think, feeling good, you want to obviously start incorporating things that make you feel good, but don't get caught up also whereas if you don't do those things, you feel bad. As you notice, I was just describing a lot of things that I like to do throughout the day, and it's not every day. But if I miss one or the other, I have other things that also make me feel good, that fill that void to make me feel healthy. Now, not everything I do is always going to be healthy. For instance, I say I like a margarita here and there. I don't know if that's healthy or not. I don't drink a lot of them. But I know it's not usually going to be something that's going to help my health. I don't feel like it is. The one thing I don't like is to be buzzed. I'm not into drugs or any of those things. If I was, I could care less, I would tell you. But if you want to really, I think, start feeling, again, better, mentally and physically, again, start creating your own placebos. And again, try and incorporate, also, I should say, acknowledge the things you're doing that aren't making you feel good, that almost became a bad habit. And a lot of us have, we all have certain habits that they're not necessarily all going to be good, they're not necessarily all bad. But what ones are making you feel a certain way, if that makes sense? So I even have a cousin that hates smoking, or hates people that smoke, but he's a smoker, and it makes him feel like shit all the time. But he can't stop smoking, no matter what he does. But he doesn't want to do anything to change it regarding the smoking. And here's the thing, I don't want to just make it about smoking, drinking, or any different types of thing that people are doing. I'm just trying to say, try to create, I think, things that hopefully just make you feel better throughout the day. Hopefully they're healthier than not healthier. But yes, and if you find yourself feeling sick, that could be either physically, mentally, whatever the case may be. Now, I'm not trying to sit here and tell you I'm a doctor or any of that nonsense. But what I would just recommend is start really trying to program your brain to figure out what throughout the day you really love to do, and keep doing that consistently. But obviously don't make it say you like shopping. I'm not telling you to go out and shop all the time and spend tons of money if you like shopping. What I'm saying is kind of small things that will help you throughout your day to make you, I think, make you feel better about yourself. And heal yourself to a certain degree. Now, I'm not talking about if you are if you have meds or if you go to the doctor, any of these type of things. I'm just saying from your own personal thing, back to the Flintstone vitamins. I went to my doctor once and he was like, he wanted to know my workouts and all these different types of things I did. And he wanted to know all the supplements I took for working out. And I told him I take one Flintstone vitamin back then. And he's like, quit, bullshit me. And I said, no. And he goes, are you serious? I said, yeah, this is what I do throughout the day and it makes me feel good. And he goes, as a joke, he says, well, bump it up to 2. That's for kids, body weight or whatever. So I've been taking 2 Flintstone vitamins a day, but every morning I take 2 Flintstone vitamins. This sounds crazy. I feel like I can take on the world. As crazy as that sounds, now will that last forever? I don't know, but it's been working since, that was like 10 years ago. He told me to take 2. Now that I'm on 2, I even feel better. But I've tried to convince myself. I don't know if it's convincing. I program my brain. My mother always says, you're going to get sick doing this, sick that. I go, Mom, I actually feel like as I'm getting older, I'm healthier. I don't feel sicker. I'm getting sick less. That doesn't mean will I ever get sick or will I ever die of a disease? I have no idea. But I've kind of slowly programmed my brain that I don't accept being sick. And if literally in 30 years, I had that one issue. I've had like 2 issues and they were very small issues. Only one time did I really get sick where I had to stay home. If I do even get a little bit of a runny nose or something, it goes away literally in 12 hours. And I've been very fortunate because I used to even have I thought I had allergies. But if you can, start training your mind to start doing things that make you feel the best you can feel. And I think it's the very small things, again, that people can do to make them help them feel great. All right, if you get a chance, check out my YouTube channel. I'm always putting up different videos regarding how to travel affordably or go to places that are affordable. Unique places. I travel all over North America and Italy. Also, if you want to check out my Facebook page, I got obviously this podcast. I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter as well. And I really appreciate you checking out the show. I know this one was kind of a wacky one, but definitely I call it the placebo effect. Create your own placebos. Really, I really think it works. At least it works for me. I can only say, and I just don't think a lot of people may not believe in that, but I believe our mind is really, it's really an unbelievable tool. And I think we kind of neglect it or take things for granted or kind of listen to what other people are always saying that, if you do this or that, it won't work for me or that's all bullshit or that. You create in your mind your own world. And I think that goes for internally and exterior, I guess you could say. Because I just know what I've studied myself and figured out what works best for me. Will it always work best for me? Maybe, maybe not. I am constantly evolving and changing up, and there's nothing wrong with that. But definitely look at yourself. A lot of times, I have friends that are always sick or always feel sick or always this, but they're not willing to make certain changes. And again, if they feel that way, I feel horrible for them. But again, a lot of them people I see, they drink too much again, or they smoke, or they don't want to work out. And I'm not saying you even have to work out. Even eating habits, a lot of them don't have really good eating habits. Again, you can have shitty eating habits. I don't care about that. But try to figure out really things that you realize that are making you feel better. And just make you feel like you could take on the world and getting stronger, not weaker. You don't I always say, I run into somebody who's sick and usually people I know that'll be like, oh my God, I ran into this person. They were sick. They got me sick or in my household. And that can happen. But when I get around someone sick, I'm thinking I'm going to make them healthier. I'm definitely not going to get sick from them. I'm not letting somebody get me sick in my mind. It can happen that way. I'm not going to say it can't. But I'm definitely not going to let somebody kind of conquer my immune system or whatever you want to say it. I don't want anything to take over that I don't want to take over. My mind is to conquer things, not let other things conquer me. And I think a lot of sickness is somebody letting them believe they're sicker than they are a lot of times. Or they feel a lot sicker than they are. And again, I'm not talking about people that are legitimately sick. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying people that are in a normal situation a lot of times. They're always tired, which I understand. I travel a lot. I get tired too. Or they always feel this way or they feel that way. But they're never really changing or evolving. And they wonder why they constantly feel the same way. So think about that. Make changes. Evolve. What you thought made you feel good before may not be making you feel really good now. And try different things, obviously. Try something new. If you never tried this type of food or maybe never drank this or never did this type of workout or maybe, I do a thing where you kind of start leaning off one less cigarette per day, and or whatever the case may be. Maybe cutting back on drinking so much beer if you drink a lot. All these different types of things. Maybe walking more. It could be something very small that can be really life-changing, I found. Even you trying to lose weight doesn't mean you have to go join a gym. Doesn't mean you have to change your entire diet. Just walking a couple extra miles a day. Just something small. Start there, focusing on one thing at a time. Don't try to all of a sudden make these life-altering decisions, I guess you could say. Change your whole lifestyle. Just look at what you like to do. Keep up with that, and things that you know that aren't really working for you, back off or get rid of them. All right? All right, well, take care, and I wish you nothing but the best. Oh, yeah, one more thing I want to add. I was thinking about this while I drove somewhere, and I'm going to add this to this podcast because I think it's very important. One thing I used to do that's crazy is when I was younger, I used to actually shave my body from my neck or my whole face down to the bottom. And one of the reasons I did this is because, and I really started, I think in high school, my mom used to cry. I didn't want hair on my chest, on my body at all. I didn't like it because I felt dirty. Again, that's my own mental thing. When I shaved my entire body, I really felt like I was kind of exfoliating my body. I had, my cousin was a model. She was a very well-known model in Chicago, and she was the first one to start teaching me how to tan and do all these different things and exfoliating your face. And I kept thinking, well, if you're exfoliating your face, she used to tell me when I shaved my face, you're exfoliating it, you're removing a lot of dead cells or whatever the pitch was back then. And I said, well, if it's for my face, let me do that with my skin. And I've been doing that, obviously, ever since. And I think my skin for my age looks pretty amazing, especially for a white guy. And here's another thing I was going to say, because I forgot. A lot of times we did things when we're younger, and people try to tell us now that we're older that it's not always healthy for you. And I'm calling bullshit on a lot of things, even including, like I just kind of mentioned earlier, with sugar being in a lot of orange juice. You can only drink this type if it's from Whole Foods, or only get natural juice. Don't use this brand or that brand. Enough's enough with that bullshit, I think. But one thing I realized with me is, again, back to my placebo effect, is I've always drank milk, 2% or vitamin D. I don't give a shit. But when I don't drink milk, I almost start to crave it. And I can tell, and again, I don't know if it's mental, I don't know if I'm that attuned with my body, my bones start to ache, or I'll start hearing a lot of, cracks when you're getting up and all those things, and I'll be like, wait a minute, have I been drinking enough milk? Because I always like to drink at least one glass of white milk, and I'll even throw in a chocolate milk here and there, because I even heard studies that that's actually pretty good for you as well. And people used to complain about that as well. Whatever. You know how it is. Eggs are good, then eggs are bad. Milk is good, then it's bad. Then coffee may be good this time, now it's bad. And then it's back being good. I don't give a shit a lot of times. My point being is, find what works good for you. And we all know cigarettes or high levels of alcohol, we kind of know that's bad to a certain degree, right? I'm talking other things. So if you drink milk, like I have my whole life, and it works for me, it works. Nobody has the same genetics. Again, I talk about that all the time. No one gets the same results as someone else. Some people can drink certain things or do certain things. They have different tolerance for even alcohol, or they have a different tolerance for medicine, or they have just different, their body reacts to it differently is my point. But if there were things you were doing younger that you really enjoyed, that all of a sudden they came out and said, you can't do that anymore because it's this or that. A lot of times I'm calling them bullshit on that. And I know it's a little crazy me saying milk, but definitely, these are the type of things I think we have to pay attention to. Really reflect on what used to make you feel good and kept making you feel good. Even if you go back, if you're older, middle-aged, go back to your teens and say, what did I used to do? I liked eating berries. Like sometimes also I can tell certain things that I'm kind of missing. My body just tells me, like, even if I'm thirsty, I drink a lot of water, but I'll be like, wait a minute, you need water right now, or you need this. You need to go get some damn berries in your system. I don't know why. Maybe I have a different mindset, but it's almost like my body talks to me. Start listening to your body. I think a lot of us neglect our body. We'll be like, oh, you're thirsty? All right, let me get another cup of coffee, which I'm not against coffee, or I'm thirsty, let me get a beer. Well, maybe you're thirsty and you need water, right? You just may need, your body is telling you certain things and you have to experiment. and I'm going to end this soon, but really try to experiment. Think about when you were younger too, because when you're kind of evolving as a younger person, I don't care if it's Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid may have made you feel great. Go drink Kool-Aid. I don't give a shit. There may be a certain type of ice cream. Again, I'm not saying you have to do it all the time, but small increments of anything I think work for anybody. And it could be as stupid as, like I said, it could be even a candy bar. Somebody be like, oh, that's fattening. It's going to make you fatter. A donut once in a while. Who gives a shit? I got an aunt that loves donuts, that's got to eat donuts every day. She's beautiful. She's in shape. And she's like, I can't turn the donut down. She lives in Chicago. She loves donuts so much, we had for my daughter's graduation party, we had a big, like a donut tree for everyone in the family because they seem to love donuts as much as cake. And I want you to know I'm not always pushing healthy things, and that's a little extreme with the donut. And again, I'm not telling you to eat donuts every day or any of these things. But if you do like certain things once in a while, I went through that yesterday. Tim Hortons, I'm in Canada. I love they're called Timbits. So I got 4 little Timbits, the style I like, and I ate them. I was getting on a plane. I knew I'd be arriving very late, but I love doing that. Is it healthy? No, I don't give a shit. But it makes me feel good because I kind of replace... I usually do a lot of things that are very healthy, so once in a while me cheating. But in your case, start doing, again, things you love to do. Try to do things, hopefully that'll make you healthier. I'm not, obviously that's where I'm leading to. But also don't get caught up with things that you still like to do that may not be that healthy either. Just try to live, I did a podcast on it. Live the life you really want to live that's going to make you happy, because a lot of times, and this includes seeing people, you may be dead. You may pass away tomorrow, or the person you just saw may pass away. Every meal I eat, I try to enjoy myself. Every workout, every time I leave somebody, because it may be the last time I see them, like I just said, or they see you. But enjoy your life. You don't know what's in store. And a lot of times I think we neglect ourselves from things we like, and we're spending a lot of time doing things we don't like. And that also goes for dieting, getting caught up with eating a lot of foods that you may not enjoy. Food is a comfort. Don't forget that. We were raised on certain foods. We love them because not only is it part of our culture, it brings a level of comfort and it makes us feel a certain way. So again, pay attention to your mind and your body. It's constantly sending you signals. Don't ignore it. All right? All right.